type as well. But we'll talk more about that very soon because we are about to announce in the next 15 minutes or so the lineup for the Newcastle Diamonds select side who will be taking on the Redcar Bears in that first fixture at the Echo Arena this season. So details on that on the way shortly. A few other things for your diary. Let's have a look at a few things that are going on at the moment in terms that you need to know about, that you can be involved in. Press and Practice, of course, is coming soon. That's on the 14th of March. Not long to go this next coming weekend. You can meet the riders in the clubhouse at 11 o'clock, and then the plan is to get riders on the track a little bit later on as well into the early part of the afternoon. So that's one thing to look out for. So get down there for the 14th of March and hopefully see some bikes on the track and people in action. We've also got some sponsors that we need to say a big welcome back to and a big welcome to in some cases as well. Gallagher are back on board with the Redcar Bears, and also we've got Van Demand back as well. He'll be sponsoring the fork covers once again of the bikes. They'll be on front of all the bikes in 2026. We need to also welcome D-Fleet. Welcome them on board. D-Fleet will be sponsoring the Sponsors Lounge, formerly the SG Pet Suite. It's now the D-Fleet Services Suite, and they're on board as well. And BritCab will be sponsoring the main bar. So welcome aboard to BritCab. Great to have you on board as well, along with our long-time sponsors as well that include Heartburn Garage, who are back on board for 2026. Echo Finishing Supplies, of course, sponsoring the Echo Arena. And big thanks to Mike at Agilia as well, who once again are sponsoring the Redcar Bears, who are very much on course for their testimonial, of course, in terms of being a sponsor, because they've been now, I think, 8 years, I think I want to say. Here's somebody that can certainly correct us on that one, is Jamie Swales, who's our guest this week. Co-promoter of the Redcar Bears, and look at that. He's in it. Look at that, is a proper speedway workshop there as well. And might we say before we begin, Jamie Swell's part of the winning team in the Supporters Club quiz, which happened at the weekend. He was part of the BSN team. Jamie, of course, qualifying to be part of the BSN team. I mean, he has provided BSN with no shortage of races to cover over the course of the last few years, and is a dab hand at curling cables up every now and again as well. So we couldn't. Well, we don't want to. I mean, there would be an inquiry if we said we couldn't have done it without you, because I know the jury is out. But nonetheless, you maintained your winning streak in the Supporters Club quiz, and you're the undefeated champion.
Undefeated champion, man. I'm open for offers for next year. I'll coil a cable up for someone else if they're going to pay me more money. So.
Pay you more money, pay you any money, I think would be a start. Yeah. But yeah, it was a good night though, and some money raised for the Supporters Club. A bit of controversy, and I think that you have got you are confirming one of the disputed answers behind you, aren't you?
Yeah. Graham tried to tell us that there was only 3 team suits that Redcar have ever ridden. But if you'll notice, Graham, where are we? I'm the opposite way around there. Charles is from last year. Danny's from 24. Jason's from 23. And then at this side, that's Luke Crank's suit from 2014. So Redcar have definitely had 4 team suits. And my dad's Teesside leathers from 1970 or something to there, but that doesn't count for Redcar.
Wow, and some bikes in there as well. What machinery have you got there with you? That looks a bit
That's
of
my
a
Jap.
speedway geekery going on.
Yeah, that's my Jap. I bought that off a friend a couple of years ago. That's what I like to have a little play on now when Eric isn't abusing it, like when he rode it last year. And that is actually the bike that I rode 20 years ago. 20 years, 26 years ago, I bought that bike. Um,
Wow.
so you think the laydown's been modern bikes, don't you? But yeah, it's 26-year-old this one.
And as we learnt, of course, at the weekend, Gerd Riss, the first to race the laydown in was it in a world championship match? Is that the question? It was
Yeah,
Gerd Riss anyway,
I
nice,
mean,
wasn't it?
you learned that one.
Yeah,
I
well, I
already
learned
knew.
that one. You knew that.
Right, right in '92.
Other people learn where Oasis opened their
Yeah,
UK tour, which
yeah.
was very easy for me because I did one of the. I actually voiced one of the commercials for it. I found it afterwards. It would have been good to play it, wouldn't it, to sort of back it up? But right, this is how it works on Bears Talk Live. If you want to get involved, you've got any questions for Jamie Swales, of course, co-promoter of the Red Car Bears, but of course a promoter in general as well. If you've got any questions, and maybe you don't have to be a Red Car fan. You might just be a passive sort of viewer. But if you've got any questions about the promotion of Speedway, about the what happens, the dark arts of the AGM, or any other questions that you might have for the, or, I don't know, questions about Kevlars of years gone by. What's better, leathers or Kevlars? These questions can be answered as we go through the course of things today. So just get your questions in the comments on this page. Just drop it in the comments, hit enter. That comment will come through to us here, and we can ask that to Jamie as we go. And of course, we're going to reveal that lineup for the Newcastle team taking on the Bears in that first fixture in the Tyne Tees Trophy shortly as well. Great season last year, as we know. 2025 maybe could have been better with a little bit of luck here and there, but that's Speedway. These things come along. But ending the season with some silverware in the form of the BSN Trophy, I guess pretty sweet to do it on Pool's home patch as well. How do you reflect on 2025 as a season for the Red Car Bears overall?
I mean, statistically, right across the board, it was Redcar's best ever season. Close to being the best ever season for a Teesside team. I mean, you can never say that until you've won the league, as Middlesbrough did in '81. Um, but we won two trophies with the Pairs. We got to the final of the Knockout Cup, and if Geordie wasn't injured for the playoffs, then I'm confident we could have gone to the final of the playoffs as well. Um, so you have to be happy with it, even though it falls short of what we aim for. We Every season we aim to win everything that we're entering. We've always got an eye on everything. You've got to play it like that. So to have got to the final stages of everything, I mean, even the Riders' Championship, Charles qualified second in the final, just made a hash of the start. I do believe Charles was the fastest rider there that day, and he just got the start wrong, and that was the end of that. So we were right at the end of every competition throughout the year, and it is the best season red car I've ever had.
And on top
The
of that,
thing
of
is,
course,
no
obviously,
field on it.
I was going to say, going back to the start of the season, it started with silverware as well, of course, didn't it? With the Pairs
Yeah,
also. So you got off to a fantastic start.
yeah. I mean, we've won three pairs in 4 years and silver medal in the year we didn't win it. So we've become pretty handy at the pairs. So it sort of got forgotten about a bit last year because it happened so early. But yeah, we got the pairs early on, so it was a good year across the board on all competitions.
As you say, Red Car have got a good record in the Pairs wherever it's been held, actually, and obviously Oxford the previous few years, and then it was Workington at the start of last season, and it was obviously back to back, wasn't it? That and the Riders' Championship as well. But obviously, it's a relatively a smaller piece of silverware compared to the league and the Knockout Cup and so on. But winning something like that, obviously with your two top riders, although you had a choice to make last year as well with you probably had three that you could have had, and you had to decide who raced.
Yeah,
But does that trickle through to the whole team and give you that sense of confidence into those early parts of the season in the case of last year?
definitely got it because it gives Charles and Eric more confidence that they've done it. I know Eric was instantly injured on winning it, but he was still confident. Charles was confident because he's won something, and that spreads into the rest of the team. And um, winning's contagious, isn't it? So if you're winning things, it's a big bonus.
Now then, on that front, we've got a question that's come in here from Matty Peacock. Any news when the Pairs and CLRC are being held? I think the news is He's coming, isn't it? I don't think it's fully out yet, but it is on the way.
Yeah, I think they're just ironing out the final details. It's obviously not for me to announce it on the Red Car podcast. So, but yeah, it will be coming soon.
Yeah, fairly imminent, I think, is the question there. The answer to that question there. Quiz questions were based on your team's first-hand knowledge. Anyway, Jamie, did Eric Riss come under consideration for the 2026 Bears, being on what would be an attractive average? What were the conversations with Eric?
To be honest, I mean, he's always in consideration. You can't ignore someone like Eric. We didn't have too many discussions with him when it come to team building because we knew how hard before his illness last year, he found it really hard because of how busy he was. And I don't think it was going to work again with what his aspirations are in the sport. Now, I'm not saying that's the end of Eric at Redcar. I'd really love to see Eric back in a Redcar race suit because we've won two major pieces of silverware. It's him and Charles have been in both of them teams, so you know, we'd be daft not to want Eric back at some point in the future. But I don't think he felt he could give us the best he could last season because of how busy he ended up being, and it was going to be no different this coming year. So the average was really attractive, um, but it just wasn't going to work on a personal level.
And he is riding the championship, though, isn't he? He's riding for Oxford this year, so he hasn't ruled that out. But is that better for him logistically then? Because obviously he's travelling over to Europe and being in the south, nearer to Heathrow Airport and so on.
It's more the Wednesday, so
The Wednesday
Wednesday
night,
home
yeah.
matches. Yeah, I know we've had to work pretty hard to help Charles out with the fixtures. There's one that hasn't landed very nicely for him at all, which is it's not good for anyone because it's Plymouth home Friday, Plymouth away Saturday. Um, my only reason I went along with that is because it's the same for both home and away riders, and we're all going to be tired. But then Charles has got a match in Landshot on the Sunday, so that's the only one out of all the matches that's fell really badly for Charles. I've worked hard to try and make it easy for him with the other matches. But obviously for Eric with a Wednesday home club, it's much easier for him then.
So there's answered a few questions. If you want to get your questions in for Jamie Swales regarding the Red Car Bears or anything else to do with Speedway that a promoter might be able to help with, then get in touch. Just get in the comments below, and you can we'll get that question asked and get you the answers as much as possible, of course. Right, let's crack on to a little bit of news then, because the first fixture is coming soon, and that will be the Tyne Tees Trophy, which is back. It's sort of a traditional curtain raiser, isn't it now for Redcar, Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, even when Newcastle were running, it was for quite a while, really. I think there was a period where there was a little bit of a fallout between promotions, and it didn't happen for a little while. But certainly in Redcar's time, it's happened most of the seasons. We we ran it mid-season, didn't we? The season Newcastle folded mid-season
Yeah.
because I think ours was going to be the next match, I believe. So we had an empty week and we ran it that mid-season as a goodbye to Newcastle, and then we've run it every season since then, except the one that got rained off and we couldn't fit it back in again. What has been nice though, I mean, what is it? 4 years? Is this the fourth season Newcastle have been missing?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and once again, um, every team we've put together for Newcastle has all been ex Newcastle riders. So you know it's sometimes a stretch when you see an old name come up on a challenge match somewhere and not a single rider's got anything to do with the club they're representing.
Mm.
Obviously, in time that's going to happen. That will happen. Hopefully, the dream is Newcastle come back and we don't have to worry about that. But while we're like we are, it's great that we can get a full team of ex Geordies in back in the pits for George.
Right, and so this meeting is coming soon. It's on the 20th at the Echo Arena, and let's, without further ado, have a look at the lineup. There are the names. So, Familiar face there, straight up, Jamie. Danny King back at the Echo Arena. Simon Lambert, Victor Palavara, Connor Mountain, Louis Kerr, Kyle Newman, and Alfie Botel. Talk us through the names, and obviously Danny probably speaks for himself, doesn't he? But it'd be great to probably give Danny a bit of a send off as well. I would imagine, actually, too.
Yeah, a little bit. He was always going to be included. I mean, there was a time when we were planning this meeting last year where I think we were struggling for, I can't remember who it was now. Someone was struggling to commit. And we said, well, we might have to lend Danny to Newcastle and we'll just run rider replacement or something like that. So it was always good to get Danny back in the Newcastle body colour. And, he was always a fan favourite up there. So we were never, he was the first one on the team sheet. To be honest, it was organised before the end of last season.
And a few other names. I mean, Simon Lambert actually didn't he represented Redcar once or twice last season, didn't he as well on the old guest circuit at one point?
Super guest at Derek, yeah.
That's him,
I
yeah.
don't know if he did more than that. The thing is with Simon, like you won't find anyone in the sport who wants to ride the bike more than Simon. Again, he's been on the phone for this months ago. I can guarantee as soon as this meeting is finished, he will say to me in the pits, put my name down for the silver helmet whenever it is. He just wants to ride in as many meetings as he can.
Yeah, well, he's been a great servant to Speedway in general, hasn't he, over the years? And another name as well is Victor Palavara. Of course, is interesting season for him because he's made the move to Berwick, hasn't he? But
Yeah.
proved to be a very handy rider for the Edinburgh Monarchs last season. And certainly this looks like a team though. When you look down there, it's going to be a team that's going to give the Redcar Bears quite a test.
Well, it's over the points limit, so it should. It's it's
Don't
about
tell
two and
Neil
a half
Hatcher.
points. Yeah, it's about 2.5 points over the points limit. There was one scenario we were working on. Ben Barker was going to be involved as well, and unfortunately, he has work commitments. But they were 4.5 points over the points limit at that point, which, you know, the Newcastle promotion, shall we say, they give us their wish list, and when we try and do the deals with the riders for them, and we were like, this team's like 45 points nearly. Well, we said to them we wanted a test. There's no point in having a challenge match that's an easy win. We want to test the riders, so that you don't look down that lineup. And when you consider the riders that Ace and Geordie beat last year, um, it's not beyond them to be beating some of these riders. So that's the way we're looking at it.
Obviously, Connor Mountain, strong rider. Louis Kerr, former Redcar Bear. Same for Carl Newman, Alfie Botel. All riders have got a lot of experience of the Echo Arena. When you say about the Newcastle promotion, then who is the Newcastle promotion? Is it George?
Yeah, it's George. It's George.
George.
He's funny. He's funny, George. I don't think he'd be watching. He's on holiday at the moment, but it wasn't last season's. Was it the season before where it went to a last heat decider? I can't even think if someone broke down in the last race and we nicked it on the line. Um, People will tell you who've worked with George in the pits. He's like such an angry man during a meeting as a team manager and storms about. And he was fuming when that happened. And then I went over to shake his hand, and it was like flick of a switch. He went back into happy George, shook my hand. That was a brilliant meeting. Let's organise next year's. So yeah.
Well, he's obviously a regular figure around Redcar, isn't he? Most weeks he comes down with Roy and what have you. So he's obviously a regular face around the place, isn't he?
He helps editing the program for us, so yeah, he's part of the furniture now. He's great to have around. You can't like beat having people like that around you who've got the experience. I mean, what was he a promoter for? 30, 25 years? Must
Oh,
have
a
been
long time.
25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that type of experience, if they're offering advice to you, you've got to listen.
And he was involved in putting like the big events as well on as well. So when it comes to one-off meetings, there's probably not many people who've got more experience of putting those kind of events on too.
Yeah, and when we did the two Riders Championships, was constantly asking him questions. So he was again great help with them ones.
So that's the lineup for the first meeting of the season. Then another quick look at it: the Newcastle Diamonds select side: Danny King, Simon Lambert, Victor Palavara, Connor Mountain, Louis Kerr, Carl Newman, and Alfie Botel. Whether you're a Newcastle fan or not, maybe you've got a horse in the race there, one of your favourite riders, whoever you happen to support. Make sure you get down to the Echo Arena Friday, March the 20th, the 7:30 start time for the Tyne Tees Trophy, featuring those riders and, of course, the 2026 Redcar Bears. Let's get back to some questions then, and one from Jade Mudgeway. It's not too bad, actually. Have you ever washed your own bike?
That's what I've got him for. I just make I just make sure Jay does the last ride, then tells him he has to ride it, has to wash it.
There's one from Brian Turner somewhere as well. Hold tight. Can't believe you removed my pit bike and Supermoto from your workshop for those bikes.
They're not in my work. They were never in my workshop. Them bikes. They're hidden away in one of the sheds somewhere, just getting damp and musty.
Where next? Redcar Bear himself. Do you ever get any recognition from, I think it's obviously the Redcar and Cleveland Borough Council, is it, for winning national trophies and raising their public profile? How do you get on with what's the, obviously you need council support, don't you? I think as well for any business, I suppose. But yeah, what's the relationship like there?
It's not something I've tried to get. Possibly something we should try and do. I think councils can quite often be dangerous, so I try to keep them at arm's length unless I need to, if that makes sense. We we pay our rent and they're happy with that, and that's the end of the relationship at the moment. Um, so maybe it's something we need to do in the future, but I think when my time's limited as it is, I just haven't got time to start trying to foster that relationship at the moment.
Daniel Hughes, Jamie, are you looking forward to going to Buxton in the National League, your old stomping ground? It's the old stomping ground for a few at Redcar, I think, over the years, isn't it? But good to have Buxton back on the Speedway map.
I had plenty of good races against Danny there, Danny Hughes. Good to hear from
Ah,
you, mate. That's it was never my stomping grounds because they wouldn't pick me. I had a little fallout with Jade will tell us. I forget his name now, the team manager. I bet basically I got when we went with Linlithgow, I got excluded on 2 minutes because of various reasons. And I went to the tapes anyway. And Johnny got on the phone to the ref, and the ref allowed me to run in the race. Me and Derek Snedden got a 5-1, and that put Linlithgow through in the knockout cup. And they didn't forgive me for it. So the next year, when Linlithgow didn't run, I went for a trial meeting at the start of the season. It was against Bellevue, who weren't in the National League at the time. So it was basically 14 riders, and Buxton were going to pick their 7 riders out of the best 7 of these 14. And I was on a max going into heat 15, and I made a mess of the very last bend and dropped 1 point, and they still didn't pick me.
It's the brutal side of Speedway.
Yeah, yeah. But I hated the track, absolutely hated the place, and I always scored well there. I used to ride it really angry because I didn't like it.
Sometimes maybe that's the best way. You've got to
Yeah,
attack it.
yeah, yeah.
They seem to have been doing a lot of work on it, though, don't they? Lawrence and his team there, they've been putting, well, I think the place gets pretty weathered, doesn't it? So it was quite foggy this weekend, but they seem to have been working hard
Yeah,
on it and hopefully trying to iron out a few bumps. I know some riders quite like a few of the bumps and quirks at there, though, so maybe that might take away a bit of home advantage.
I'm sure there was a spring under Ben 4 there because there used to be just a damp patch. Didn't matter what the weather was, there was a little damp patch coming off Ben 4. You had to have your wheels in line when you hit it, or you were going through the fence. I'm sure, being up in the hills, I'm sure it was like a freshwater spring coming up under the track. But so getting weather, that place is like its own. I don't. Have you ever been? It's its
Yeah, well,
own.
I went to the, when they used to do the ride and skid it thing there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Aidan
with
Collins. I
Aidan.
went up
Yeah.
there for that, and that yeah, and it was a grotty old day as well.
We,
Yeah.
we did a meeting there once that we had to rush through from about heat. It was probably as early as like heat six, where when every heat finished, 2 minutes come on to get someone straight out because we could see the wall of fog coming, and it was like a horror film. And as the fog come over the fence onto the track, we just finished heat 15, and you couldn't see in front of you once it come in. It was weird.
There's not many meetings that get fogged off, really, is
No,
there overall? But I think if it's going to happen, it will be happening at Buxton for sure. Because it's,
yeah, yeah.
as you say, even if it just rains, it's going to be misty and foggy with it as well, isn't it? Just because of the location. But
These are the things you get in National League that you don't get in Championship and Premiership. So it's just a bit different.
bit of fog. I mean, imagine there was rough talk once, and I don't think it was anything particular, but there was like an outside sort of suggestion that Buxton should go into the Premiership to make up the numbers, and
Yeah, yeah.
that would have been epic, wouldn't it?
I'd love to see Emil going around there.
Emil Doyley, Dan Bewley. Oh, yeah. Well, I think Dan Bewley will probably take to it like a duck to water, of course.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think it would be but something a bit different. But never say never for the
yeah.
future. Who knows? Let's get some more questions talking a similar subject. Notice that other tracks like Leicester, Lydd, Workington, and Scunthorpe have been holding practice and training sessions. Is there a reason Redcar don't do this if you have access to the track 7 days a week? I bet there is.
Well, through the winter specifically, unfortunately, when the red car track was built, it didn't get a very good base put into it. And what you find in winter is as soon as the first frosts come in, the track just goes sludgy. We could probably force a few on, but what it would do is damage the track for the race season. That you wouldn't get it back to the racetrack that we have. Um, Up until 2 seasons ago, I would say only Leicester held more training than we did. Maybe Scunthorpe do a lot. Um, but we did a lot of training schools, amateur meetings, things like that. And for some reason, 2 years ago, numbers just dropped. We were still one of the cheapest in the country, and the numbers just dropped right off. We had to cancel an amateur meeting early on because I think there was only 7 people entered, and that doesn't even cover the cost of the medical vehicle coming. Um, so we didn't do another amateur meeting that year because the numbers just weren't there. Last year we didn't set out at the start of the year not to do anything last year because we actually paid the insurance premium to be able to do practices, and we just ended up not doing any because of one thing or another, knowing how bad the numbers were the year before. But we have plans to do it this year. So it's press day this coming week. We are actually running another practice the day after, so they can get a bit more track time. Um, and there'll be a few extra guests coming to that one as well, which I've just remembered we didn't mention in the Newcastle lineup thing. There's more news about the Newcastle match that we need to discuss. Um, but yeah, throughout the season, we are planning to do more training sessions and hopefully a few amateur meetings.
Okay, well, thanks for your question there, Joe. And there, so there's your answer. Don't want to ruin the track in the off season for the on season, but once the season's underway, it'll be pretty busy. What's your extra news about the Newcastle meeting then? Let's get to that because if you're just joining us, we've announced the lineup for the Timepiece Trophy. So if you missed it, you've just dropped on because I know quite a few people who just dropped on in the last like 10 minutes or so. There is the lineup for Newcastle. On Friday, 20th of March, the opening fixture, the Timepiece Trophy at the Echo Arena, and Jamie's got more.
So we're also going to have 3 races of legends, shall we say?
Legends. What
New
kind?
Redcar versus Newcastle, 2-on-2. So representing Redcar will
Hmm.
be Jade Mudgeway and
Oh.
Theo Piper.
Oh, right. Okay.
Representing Newcastle will be Stuart Swales and Stuart Robson.
Stuart Robson's getting back on a bike. There
We
you
were going to
go.
try and mix them into the main meeting, but some of them are sharing bikes, so with the main riders. So we'll run it in the second half, but a bit more interest there for the Newcastle fans.
A Legends race. So there's one to watch out for if you are
Last
coming down
time
to
you'll
that
ever
meeting.
hear me call Jade a legend.
Well, he'll be lapping it up. In fact, I think he's just been back in touch to remind you about
Of
who it
course he
was. In
has.
fact, Daniel Hughes has as well. Uh,
Yeah.
Jack Lee
And
was
Jack
the man.
Lee, yeah, and he works at Bellevue now, and he's my best mate whenever I see him now.
Yeah, I recognised his name.
Yeah.
He's hangs around at Bellevue. Um, what else have we got then? Craig Milner. Any chance of the fours coming back onto the calendar? Always a fan's favourite. Is that sort of thing that's been discussed at all?
Yeah, I bring it up every year because I love the fours, and I didn't like how it ended. I thought the one that they did at Redcar was rubbish because they just try to force every team in the league into it, and it just didn't. It That's probably what killed it, to be honest. But it's one of the few things I remember as a kid is the fours, the qualifying rounds that used to. It's a long time ago now, but they used to have a round at every track, didn't they? Rather than
Mm.
just the final at Peterborough. Um, So it has been brought up every year. It was discussed more this year, to be fair, than it has a while. I'd love it back on. I think there's a few of the teams we've had over the last few seasons, we would have been the favourites for it, especially last year. Um, so I want to see it back. So hopefully in the future, yeah.
There is a forced tournament though, kicking the British Speedway season off actually, because Nikolai Clint is having his testimonial at Kings Lynn on Sunday, and that is a fours tournament, and it's Swindon, Kings Lynn, Poole, and Wolves, and all the riders are all proper ex riders. So you've got Brady Kurtz riding for Poole. Along with Tom Brennan and Louis Kurt and Ben Cook, and I think for Swindon, Doyley's riding. So it's a proper Swindon
Why not?
lineup. Kings Lynn, Max Frick's riding. It's his first ride as a Kings Lynn rider as such, but again, a good Kings Lynn lineup nonetheless. And Wolves, they've got Freddie Lindgren, along with I think Jakob Torsell and Sam Masters and so on. So it's a decent lineup. But that's Sunday at Kings Lynn. If you want to go, it'll be a good afternoon, a bit of testimonial fun and games. But there is a live stream, and this will be good. I'm commentating, but co-commentator will be Richie Hawkins, which I'm not sure Richie's actually done it before, but I think it could be pretty wild. So, and Rory Schlein in the pits. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? But you
Yeah,
definitely want to see Richie Hawkins commentating. I do. So, yeah, it'd be worth the admission fee.
yeah, that'll be interesting.
Richie Hawkins commentating in Kings Lynn as well. So he's going to put his brave boy pants on for that. So there you go, Craig. Hopefully that answers your question a little bit. Let me have a look down some of the questions. David Taylor with Northampton joining the league. Is there any other teams you would like to see come to the tapes? Obviously, I think Coventry is sort of top of the agenda, really, when it comes to that, isn't it? But the battle's
All of
always
them.
on to try and get more clubs back, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, straight away, the obvious one's Newcastle's the one I want back because our closest rivals, and it's good to have that rivalry. It's good for the gates, isn't it? When we've got the derby matches on, so it's been good to have Workington back in the league for that reason. Um, well, yeah, Newcastle is a standout one for me, and then yeah, Coventry, which is looking a lot better. Swindon's looking a lot better these days, isn't it? I don't think all hope's lost on Peterborough and Arena Essex yet.
No.
Um, it's gone very quiet on Wolves. I don't know what's going on with that one. I think that one's probably dead in the water, but I'm not sure. I don't get any more info on this than what's in the public domain, by the way. So this isn't any type of inside track. But um, I think I get the feeling these days that there's been a bit of a change in the attitudes of planners just over the last couple of years, where they are starting to. I think there's somebody in the background fighting Speedway's fight here, and they're getting held to account on planning things.
Yeah.
Because I believe that's, I don't have all the facts, but I believe that is why Cleveland Park got sold. Was there was actually some planning in there on a covenant to say it was had to be for sporting grounds, and it got hidden away in a filing cabinet in the bottom of the drawer somewhere and wasn't discovered till after it had been closed down. And I believe that is why it had to have five-side football pitches built on what was left because it had to be
Mm.
sport. But that wasn't the original plan when it shut.
Yeah, I did an interview with the guy last year, but one of the guys that's really ultimately behind what's going on at Coventry is a guy called Brian Connolly, and
That's the guy.
he
Yeah,
he's a yeah, he's a planning expert and a planning a lawyer when it comes to this kind of thing, and he got the legal proceedings going, but he's sort of found really, and he's the thorn in the side of the development at the like of Arena Essex. You know, they want to steamroller that and do what they want with it, and they can't at the moment. And same for Rye House. Swindon he's involved with as well, and really what he's doing is just, as you say, holding the planners to account, that the fact that you can't just
yeah,
say something's not viable with
yeah,
no basis for that whatsoever. There's no other facts other than them bullying the promoters into saying, well, here's the money, and that's that. But the law that he's very familiar with is the fact that if you are going to build a load of houses on a speedway track site, if it's a sporting venue or a leisure venue like that, you've got to replace it first before you build it. And that's
yeah.
where they're at with Swindon. They're trying to build the houses on the stadium. It's like, hang on, you haven't built the speedway track yet. You know, you
Well,
need to
it
build.
was part of the it's part of the planning, wasn't it, for the original lot of houses that they had to return a
Yeah,
fully functional speedway stadium to them, and there was a lot of things named in the planning that they had to do. For instance, a pits area, and
yeah,
what's been signed off as a pits area was a couple of containers thrown in the corner, and not even containers that had been modified into usable pits. It was just like, oh, there's something you can use as pits over there.
yeah.
So I think in years gone by, that would have been signed off, and they'd have gone, yeah, you're all right, just build your houses. But I think now someone's holding them to account. Things have changed a little bit, and it's the same with the Rye House thing. They didn't even bother like trying to jump through hoops for that one. They just closed it down and started building things on it.
Mm.
So they're getting held to account on that one. So
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot about Rye House. But
Yeah, well, it's positive. It's obviously it takes a long time to sort things out, but I think certainly top of that pile is Coventry, and
yeah,
obviously you've seen the appeal for people to write these letters, and if that gets signed off as being sort of a part of the legal plan for the area, then I think the council are sort of obliged, and the council supports it, by the way, but I think they're sort of
yeah.
obliged to do something about it. So that's when things are going to get really interesting with the people who are waiting in the wings to
I mean,
come in
the struggle
and
to
police it.
struggle to argue that it's not viable, wouldn't it, when it's run continuously for what was Swindon like 50 years or something.
Yeah, well, exactly.
It used to be.
And it was league
So,
champions a couple of years ago
yeah, I
before it
mean,
shut.
maybe as a business, maybe it was losing money, but if sponsors are propping that up, then it's still viable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this is it. And you can't be league champions a couple of years before, and
Mm,
then with the crowds they had, and then say that it's not viable, but replace it with some five-a-side pitches, and that'll be better.
yeah,
It's just not
yeah,
doesn't add up, does it?
no.
Let's get some more questions then. Your arch nemesis when it comes to race suits, Graham Porter. Before the quiz on Saturday, Will asked, "Is anything being done to save Speedway?" And I guess on a more local note, what we're doing to promote the club. He says all his schoolmates that have been have really enjoyed it. It is, it's hard, isn't it? The marketing part of any business is. It's everybody would always want to do more, no matter what your business or organization. But what are the lengths of the efforts to go out there and find the new fans, and how hard is it to get them through the gate?
It's hard. It is hard for us. We've done, you know, we haven't done loads, if I'm totally honest, over the last few years, and that's basically because everyone that's part of the management team at Redcar works full time. So it's I didn't make the BSN final in pool last year because I'd run out of holidays at work. So to try and take more holidays out to do all the promotion that you want to do, um, it's really difficult at times. We have done a few. We've done a few schools over the last couple of years. We've had adverts in certain programs, um, and we have had some success from each of them, but not massive. If I'm absolutely honest, the most success we get is from people like Graham and all the other fans when they bring a friend.
Mhm.
That is by far and away the best promotion we get. Every person that's in that crowd is the best promoter we can ask for. And I said, I actually said this at the staff meeting the other day that we had. I was talking about negative comments online. Um, I'm not ashamed to say it. I totally gatekeep the Red Car social media. Negative comments, I will just delete them instantly because one negative comment, whether it's right or not, can take people off the gate the next week. Most of the time, they're not right. It's just somebody wanting to mourn. Most of the mourners on there don't even go anymore. But one negative comment can take people off the gate. But the positive ones does the opposite fantastically. And you see people all the time on there say, first time I've been, before like my friends took me first time been, definitely be coming back absolutely brilliant. And that is always the best promotion we get is the fans bringing their friends along. And if someone's got any ideas for getting people along, I have a mountain of free tickets and I'm happy to help out with that. I've got some ideas for charity work this year to get some charities involved, and obviously, hopefully, we get some of their people to come along. Things like that help. We want to help charities, but there's a selfish point in that as well, where that's bringing people in that might want to come back again.
Well, Glasgow have found that, haven't they? That because we did an interview on BSM with Jerry Fasena, and he said that the same as you, that they've obviously they've got quite big resources when it comes to money to spend on advertising and stuff like that. But they said exactly what you said, that what works best for them is, well, they give out free tickets, don't they? So they give each supporter can have either 2 or 4 tickets, and they give them the tickets to give to someone else. They're only valid if it's somebody that is new to they have to sort of
Yeah,
sign their name on the back or whatever. I'm not sure. But giving out the free, a pair of free tickets to an existing fan to give to someone and say, look, why don't you come along? There's 2 free tickets. You can come with me on Friday or whatever. And that then gets them through the gate. They
yeah,
experience it, and he sees it that you're giving the tickets away, but you're actually making on the food and the drink, because they're going to buy a hot dog, they're going to buy a program, they're going to buy a couple of beers, and before you know it, you've actually made 10-15 quid out of them, even though they
yeah,
came in for free. So
yeah. And they weren't coming before, so it doesn't matter. I'm I'm a little less, it's good that Glasgow can do that because they've got the backing to do that.
mm.
I worry that if I hand 600 tickets out en masse, I'd still have a 600 crowd next week, just nobody's paid to get in because it's incredibly hard to police. So I would have to drip feed it a certain amount. But if people have got ideas, then I'm more than happy to listen to that, and I'm more than happy to get new people in for free and get them experiencing what Speedway is, and not just new people. The thing that I get told most, especially in my working life when I'm talking to people, if Speedway is mentioned, I used to go to Cleveland Park when it ran in Teesside. Well, it's been running for 16 years on Teesside still.
Mm.
No, 20 years now, isn't it? Yeah. Um, oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
But it's old fans, and a lot of them will go, "Oh, I can't be bothered to come." But if we can get 10% of them to come along, then great.
it, it you're right, that it's like most people know what Speedway is, or
Yeah,
they've been once, or for whatever reason they went with a friend, or they went with work, or they took it in once somewhere. Um, you very rarely see people, and this is the argument against, this whole thing about, we need to have a TV deal to get people to come into Speedway, because I don't think people see Speedway on the TV and go, "Oh, I must go to that." I think you've got to be you've already got to know what it is to understand it on the TV. I don't think it works that way. And
yeah,
Peter Oakes actually said this as well when he was the promoter at, I think Peterborough was talking about. I think he said that you've got to get fans. if you get someone in 3 times, if you get someone through the gate 3 times, chances are by that point either they're going to be committed and they're going to be a full Speedway fan, they're going to come back more often than not, or they're going to be totally out by that point. But getting them through the gate 3 times was the thing
Yeah,
that made somebody a bona fide Speedway fan from that point.
yeah, yeah. I can go along with that. I don't have the data to back that up, but it sounds about right.
I'm not sure Peter Oakes has the data to back it up. It was just his hunch, but
Full feeling. Yeah,
he
he
knows
knew
what.
his stuff. He was a good promoter. So
Yeah, well, that's what he reckoned anyway. Ranting Roy Clark is back. Yeah, and at Northampton, this is good news. Returning to the Premiership. Do you think it's a much wanted shot in the arm for our sport? It can only be good news, can't it? I mean, I know there are not people will say not a completely new track, but you're going back to the 1950s. They don't really have a specific fan base of their own, like say Coventry or Swindon. But it's a new track for Speedway, and here for a few years minimum, all being well.
yeah, were the Badgers were they in the 50s, I believe.
I think there have been the badges, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I have no idea what the name's going to be. I'm interested to it myself. Um, yeah, it's got to be every time a new track opens, it's a shot in the arm. That's we probably need 40 to 60 tracks in the country to make it a proper viable sport. So that's what we need to aim for. So we need to get working on these things. What has been brilliant to see on the Northampton front is the way the Premiership have worked together to make this happen. I only see 5% of what they do. We have separate meetings other than the AGM, so I don't get to see a lot of it. But I know the work that the existing teams have put in to make this track happen. And if that type of cooperation can carry on going forward, it's a brilliant thing for the sport.
Yeah, it obviously the venue here it exists. They have stock car racing there. The work is underway now, as you say. It's like on that front, it's a bit of an amalgamation of various track men across Speedway, isn't it? Who are going to be getting involved now to try and get the track up and running for the end of April when they have their first home meeting. But a different prospect as well because nobody's going to have any home advantage. Maybe it goes against the home team, but it's the same for everybody, and it's going to be quite a long track as well as
Yeah,
it. I think possibly the longest actually in British Speedway.
yeah. It'd be
396,
yeah,
longer than
it'll
Berwick.
be longer than Berwick. I don't know where. I know that Isle of Wight's not technically in the league at the moment. I don't know where it's rates next to Isle of Wight now. That Isle of Wight was around that because I think that was built over a 400-meter running track originally. So it'll be very
Mm.
similar, but this certainly looks longer straights and tighter corners in Isle of Wight. So it'll be interesting. They'll maybe want to look at some long trackers for their riders.
Yes, well, I mean, we did have one um, on this live stream about a week ago who was mentioning needing a Premiership place. Let's
Yeah.
speak to Charlotte Swales next. Are you kidding me? Facebook telling me again Stuart is getting his Kevlars back out.
Yeah, Charlotte didn't know he was going to Holland to race in the match till we announced it on Facebook. So I will say there was somebody else lined up for the Newcastle one, I think, until he told his wife about the idea, and that quickly got forgotten about.
Oh, somebody else got kiboshed by their wife, right?
Yeah.
Well, Swales says, oops. Where were you when it was mentioned on Saturday, says Brian Turner.
Charlotte will have been drunk and not listening. You know what she's like.
She must have been in denial, says Stuart. Let's have a look here. Jack Harlow. So, can I just write some neggy comments to get through to you? Lol, up the Pirates.
Me and
You can if you want.
Jack's the I think he's sometimes clerk of the course at or pit marshal at Poole. He's certainly got a job in the pits at Poole. So we always have good banter down there. I really enjoy going to Poole, and Jack's one of the reasons we have a good laugh down there. Um, but yeah, Jack's comments are always good. They'll always slip through the net. Not a problem, Jack.
Roy Clark, some knowledge here. Ex-Sunderland star Pete Rathall is the track record holder at Northampton. That'd be a long-standing track record, that longer than Antonio Limbach's, I would have thought. Going back a bit.
That'll have been on one of them.
Yes.
That's a 1952, so maybe.
Imagine if that's the bike. What a story that would be
Maybe.
for the Speedway star.
Let's just say it is.
Just say it is. Nobody's going to prove you right or wrong. If you've got any questions for Jamie Swales, get them in now, just in the comments, wherever you're watching. Just type it in the comments below this, and they'll come straight through to us, and we will. We'll be able to ask Jamie while we're still on here. David Taylor says, in your riding days, what was your favourite track other than Cleveland Park, of course?
Oh, controversial. Armadale.
Really?
Yeah, I loved Armadale. Yeah, Cleveland Park. Funny enough, I never rode it. I rode it on like a 125 field blaster when obviously my dad was the track curator.
Mm.
Um, so I got to ride it on my own in the afternoons. But I never got to race Cleveland Park. It shut in '96. I started riding in '98. My, if you could call it a career, it wasn't really a career, mine. But my racing days ended in 2002, and then Redcar opened in 2006. So I actually never had a home track. So
Oh, look at that.
yeah, Newcastle was my home track. Um, but yeah, Armadale. I think because I learned on a tight track in the field at home, and then once I stepped up onto the 500s to race, I learned at Newcastle. So that's tight like Armadale. Something like Armadale just really clicked for me, and I really enjoyed the place.
There
Big
you go.
tracks,
Any
I
other
couldn't have
questions?
hated
Well,
big tracks, except Derwent Park. I like Derwent Park, but yeah, I
of
wasn't.
course, yeah.
I wouldn't have been going to Northampton. I guarantee that.
Certainly looks like it's yeah, as you say, one for the long trackers probably, and only
Yeah,
thing is you need long track equipment probably too. But we will
yeah.
find out in good time on that one. Any questions for Jamie? Stick them in the comments, and we'll ask them before we finish. Let's have a look at a race. We haven't looked at any races so far, but this was a bit of a crazy heat. Redcar against Berwick. Heat 15 and all on the line.
Go with the last heat decider. Kemp, Wright, Jefferson and King were underway. Down to the first turn, Kemp gets away well. King goes wide, cuts back to the inside. Charles Wright, there was contact there with Drew Kemp on the run to the first turn. And it's Drew Kemp who leads the way ahead of the Redcar pairing. If it stays like this, Redcar win by 2, but 4 wide, up turn 4. Look at this into turn 1. This is incredible stuff for a Heat 15. What order are they come out in here? It was Yellow that led there. That was Jefferson right up the inside. This is amazing stuff. Wright leads it. Jefferson second. Third is Kemp. Danny King at the back. This is one of the best races I've ever seen here at the Echo Arena. Danny King up the inside into third. Charles Wright slams the door on Jonas Jefferson. I cannot keep up with this. Out in front is Charles Wright. 1 lap to go. Here comes the rider in red, in yellow, back again on red. White against Jefferson. Wright against Jefferson. There's only time to call colours here. King's in third place. Drew Kemp has slowed up. It's going to be a race to the line between Charles Wright and Jonas Jefferson. Wright wins it. Redcar take the win. What an epic race.
It's got a foot like a traction engine. That was a big finish though, wasn't it? That was it shows what can be achieved around the Echo Arena though on the right conditions with the right riders, I guess.
That's just a standard race at the Echo Arena, don't you? On about it's just Heat
Well,
1, Heat 15 every week. The commentator was excited, wasn't he?
he was. He was more excited than I was. I was at Edinburgh doing Edinburgh versus someone that night, and it was less exciting. But there we go. Can't have
Yeah,
everything.
that was a good race. There's not many tracks you'll get 4 on the second lap going like that. And we had a couple of races similar to that over the last season. It was funny last year because the work that got done on the back straight during last winter, it changed the banking and it changed the banking entry into bend 3, and I think it slightly changed the racing a little bit and took a little while for people to get used to it without really noticing. But it certainly made the racing interesting.
Yeah, as you say, there's not many tracks where you get them for a breast down there. I think obviously Redcar, clearly we've seen it there. I think I've only really seen it at Workington, Bellevue.
Yeah.
That's about
There's
it,
not many
really.
tracks wide enough for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you tried that in Newcastle, you would have ended in a mess.
You would be heading to the hot dog stand, I think, definitely. Let's get some more questions then on the subject of Newcastle. Jamie Fennick, is anyone in the background trying to bring Newcastle back? Is there any sort of word that's on the agenda even?
It's I believe there's a couple of people asking questions of land, but there's nothing that I'm aware of, nothing really heavily seriously going on. Um, but the same was said for Middlesbrough for a long time. I would have said up until 18 months before Redcar come back, uh, everyone thought Middlesbrough was done and there would never be Speedway on Teesside again. So I wouldn't be too disappointed with the fact that there isn't a lot of stuff going on at the moment. The fact that there's still interest is a good sign, and hopefully, if things with planning keeps going as it is, then hopefully that's something that's good for Newcastle. I don't know what the situation is with Brough Park. Forgot the name there for a minute. I don't know what the situation is with Brough Park at the moment because obviously Dogs is a bit shaky these days. Laws are changing, aren't they? I can't remember. It's banning Wales already, isn't it? Greyhound racing.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
it is now. Yeah.
no, I think I've heard rumblings that something similar is coming to England. So that's not necessarily a good thing for Speedway, but I have said for a long time that they don't really mix anymore. They're not natural bedfellows anymore. So, but if Derwent Park, if Brough Park all of a sudden didn't have a use at all, then maybe that's a way back in for the Speedway. I don't know.
I think the issue has been the owners, hasn't it? I think the same people that own Newcastle, I think, well, at least did also own Birmingham and these other
Yeah,
places, Stoke. I think where Speedway has kind of gone by the wayside, and so they've got a bit of a form for Wolves, of course, as well. I think too.
yeah.
So. But yeah, obviously, if the greyhound situation changes, then that's going to be a big problem for them, isn't it? Mark Richards says, "What league position will Redcar finish in the league table this season?" Nostradamus.
Yeah, that's it. I've never known um, a a year where the teams look so even. So, I mean, the standout one, I think, again, is Pool. And they just do it every year, don't they? But it's not miles ahead. And at the moment, Scunthorpe look a little bit weak without being harsh on them. But they're going to get a couple of points to play with once Pickering's average changes. So I don't think the team that they're setting out with will be the one that they enter the league with. Um, and I'm confident in my team, but it is so tight. It is so tight across everyone. There's so many factors involved in it. We've definitely got the strongest reserves in the league. Um, but strong reserves only really matter if the rest of your team's not performing. So I don't want that to be the case. I just want Ace and Geordie to be able to enjoy their racing because the other five are doing what they need. I think one thing I am pleased with our team is I really believe all seven riders can up their average still. I still don't think we've seen the best of Charles. Last year, I think, was his best year, even though he won the British title in 19. I did get the transponder times last year from the British final. I believe he was zero point 0.2 of a second or less in second place. So that's how close he was to his second British title last year. Um, I think it was his best average last year as well. He's still on the up. He learns every year. He chips away at it. Um, and Jake Allen, I think that's a joke of an average for Jake. I'm I'm really pleased he didn't enjoy himself at Scunthorpe last year. Um, and then the other five riders are still all young riders on the way up. Um, I think one of the strongest teams is Plymouth. I really like the look of Plymouth's team, but they've got a bit of the Peterborough Dad's Army vibe to them as well. And it worked for Peterborough once. Fingers crossed for them, it'll work for them again. But they're not all on the way up like our team is, and all it needs is a couple of knocks, and you don't know what's going to happen. So it'll be interesting. I'm confident in my team. Um, as long as I finish in the top four, I'm not too fussed where we finish. It'd be nice to finish first, so you can say we finished first in the league, but top four is the aim, and that's what we're going for.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Ultimately, there's not a great deal of reward for necessarily finishing top, and it doesn't mean that you're going to have an easier passage necessarily in the playoffs. That top four is important. But then again, it's not, as you say, it's not necessarily how you start; it's how you finish as well, because it's how you adapt in any situation. If it could be a reserve that you lose, heaven forbid, but it could be a top rider as well, and that's the same for every team. There's very few teams that start and finish a season with the same seven for whatever reason, whether that's an enforced change through injury or you decide to make a change because it's not working out.
Yeah, that's been our Achilles heel over the last, well, since I've been promoter. Every year when it's come to the point at the end of the season, someone's got injured at the wrong time, or Connor Bailey packing in right as the transfer deadline passes, and Geordie with his concussion last year, and Eric with his illness both times. There's been others. I can't think of the other ones now, but there's been others, and we managed to overcome it last season, despite what happened. I'm confident if we'd had our 1 to 7 at the end of last season for all the semi-finals and finals, I'm confident we would have won everything. And I've heard a lot of pool people say the same thing, that we would have been the ones that stopped them if we'd had our 1 to 7. But that's gone now, and you look ahead. We just need to not have this bad luck. That's the thing. As Gav said plenty of times, we're not looking for good luck. We just don't want the bad luck anymore. And you can ride it a little bit mid-season, early season, whatever. But once it gets to the playoffs, semi-finals, whatever, knockout cup finals, there's nothing you can do about there if you've had the wrong injury at the wrong time. At that time of year, you find a lot of riders have had enough as well, so the guest options dwindle. So, yeah, momentum's everything.
When it came to team building, of course, the decision was made to have this cap on one rider over 8 points. What was the background to that? And obviously that led you with an instant decision to make, didn't it?
It was to try and, I mean, as much as I disliked the rule and argued against it, for obvious reasons, it's achieved what it set out to do, which is we've got a really even team across all 9 teams. So I suppose I can moan as much as I want, but it's done what they wanted it to do. I don't want to dwell on it too much, because I don't want the team that we've put out to think that I didn't want them because I wanted Danny. But it was obvious early on that was going to have to happen. So we've got the team that we wanted. We had 3 fantastic years with Danny, and I hope it's not the last time we see him for Redcar. But he'll have to go and enjoy himself down at Plymouth for a year at least.
And and as a Newcastle rider for one night only on your first meeting of the season.
Yeah.
Right, blast through the last few questions then. Graham Gray, hi Jamie. Who is or was your favourite world champion of all time?
Oh, well, Ricardson was dominant when I was really getting into the speedway. So, yeah, I probably couldn't look past Ricardson. I think how he conducted himself and the racing that he did and everything is, yeah, go with him.
Tony Ricardson. Mark Richards, describe Redcar Speedway in 3 words.
3 words. I was going to use two, just highly frustrating, but um, I don't know. I'm not great with words. Um, highly frustrating all the time. There you go. That's normally the off season though.
Well, that's it. At least we're getting to the racing part of it now. Graham, do you think the Premiership not having world class riders is a bad thing? The cost to have them is not good. The races will still be good. Well, they're only without Jason Doyle and Emil Sayfutinov. I think beyond that, there's no change really, and yeah.
I yeah, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. I've had this discussion with a few fans. There's some fall on one side of it and some fall on the other. Obviously, it's been great having Emil over here for a few years. Um, one of my arguments is having world stars doesn't mean having Emil. Emil's different. So set Emil apart because he's just spectacular, regardless. Uh, the only other one like Emil that you would want to try and get over really is Bartos. The rest of them are just world stars. Now, I don't think they make that much difference, to be honest. And they cost a lot of money. Uh, when it gets floated every now and then, would Redcar move up a league? And I remember when Somerset moved up, I believe they paid a lot of money to get Doyle back then because he'd been an ex Somerset number one in the championship and they wanted his known star to be their number one and paid through the nose to make that happen. And it didn't put a single person on their gate.
Mm.
So, so why do we chase the world stars if the fans don't really? They can say they want them all they want, but it doesn't bring anyone else through the gate. So,
But this, yeah, this thing about what the lack of world stars, though. I mean, it depends what you call world stars. Because you look at the various teams, you've got Jack Holder, Chris Holder, you've got Brady Kurtz, you've got Dan Bewley. Where's the lack? You got Max Frick, Grand Prix rider. Where is the lack of top talent? Is Grand Prix riders there? You got extra Liga riders like Ben Cook. You've got Yank Vec. You've got many others. Then none of them are bad riders. Ryan Douglas is a rider that's going well in Poland now. So
yeah,
there's no short. I don't buy this thing that the Premiership is a bad league. It's the same. It's broadly the same as last year and the year before. There hasn't
yeah,
been this exodus. You got people going, "Oh, there's no teams left. The riders have all left." They haven't. They're the same. It's just Jason Doyle and Emil Sayfutinov have left, and even then, now that things have calmed down a bit, Doyley only left because he wanted to know what he was doing, and he had to make a decision. But I don't buy
maybe
this
I'm
whole
not
thing
answering
that.
this.
Well, exactly. No. Well, I think has he got 3 teams elsewhere? He's done Sweden, hasn't he now?
Maybe, yeah, yeah, because there's a limit on in Poland now, isn't there? So,
And some are doing Denmark, aren't they?
yeah,
As
yeah,
well. But
yeah. My
um,
biggest issue with riders is I hate doubling up. I think that's the biggest issue within our sport.
hmm.
Doubling up and guesting. I hate guesting as well. It's me and Jade fall out about this one all the time. But we should be running a squad system. People argue there isn't enough riders, but there isn't enough riders because there isn't enough opportunity because the opportunities are taken up by people having 2 and 3 team places. Where when someone has an injury, it should be taken up by a reserve who then gets the chance to prove themselves. Now, it might mean that you lose out on a bit of a crowd in some of the meetings where you're running a weaker team, but if the sport's got more credibility because of it, then overall your crowds will go up. So you've got to take that hit at some point. And you know, world stars don't interest me. Our homegrown stars do. And if they're given the opportunity, we'll we'll make another Steve Wilcox, who everyone at Middlesbrough wanted to see.
Hmm.
In the current format, Steve Wilcox wouldn't have been a number one for Middlesbrough because like we all love Charles. Charles is brilliant. Charles as the British number two really shouldn't be riding in the second tier in Britain. You know, someone like Jason should already be Redcar's number one. If the if the tier system was run properly. Um, Someone like Simon Lambert, he's been robbed of a career where he should have been a number one in our league for the last 5, 6, 7 years. He's probably seen as a journeyman now. 20, 30 years ago, he would have been a top star for Scunthorpe for his whole career, and he'd be remembered for the rest of his life as a top star for Scunthorpe. And that's because 20, 30 years ago, they come up with a rule that would help the young British riders step up into the top league. It was like Simon Stead, Ollie Allen, the likes of them, and it was only meant to be a handful of riders. And every year it got chipped away and chipped away because it might help them and it might help them, and we best let all the foreigners do it as well now. And it's just the Wild West now, and anyone can do it, and it's to the detriment of British Speedway.
There was a lot of talk, of course, about one league, wasn't there? Obviously, prior to Northampton coming in, and and obviously a bit of doubt about Ipswich as well. So there was a potential for it to be, 4 teams. But that, that people say, why don't they do it? But it was seriously discussed in the winter, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It went quite a long way. It probably needs discussing a lot earlier than what we were doing. I've got to be careful what I talk about, really, because it's obviously all in
Yeah, well, you don't have to go
confidential
into
media
detail.
to
I mean, but
sponsor. But yeah, it
it
was
was an idea on
discussed.
the table.
Yeah. I mean, it's been discussed for several years, to be honest. Because let's be honest, it's two small leagues now. We grew up in an era where it was 2 leagues of 20, didn't we? So
Mm.
um, that's what you're aiming for a proper league system. Um, you've just got two sets of clubs really that have two different financial settings, and they're not really compatible.
And yeah, because it would have obviously you've got two options. If you have one league, is it a higher level than the championship, or is it a championship level? So somebody's got to step up, or somebody's got to step down, haven't they? And that's the
Yeah,
the
that's the issue.
conundrum.
So some were saying we can't step up because it'll bankrupt us really fast, and some were saying we can't step down because we know for a fact our fans will not support that and it'll bankrupt us really fast.
Yeah, it's one of them easier said than done things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, we'll just wrap up with a what's a break-even crowd for Redcar Speedway? Asks Mark. Are you able to share roughly what you hope to have each week?
Yeah, it's hard to put a figure on it because your sponsorship comes so much into it as well. I can tell you for National League, it's about 120. We don't need that many for National League, and most weeks we break even on National League and do really well. We were hitting 300 at one point for National League, so it's definitely worth it there. Um, for the Bears, uh, we probably want 700, 750, something like that, at a rough guess. Um, we didn't hit that very often last year, which was disappointing when we had such a good team.
Comes down to everybody being involved, though, and it's obviously long said, but everybody is a promoter, and get out there and get your mates to come, get them in there, and just get them through the
I'll,
game.
I'll debunk a myth while we're on that as well that you'll back me up on because people always say we shouldn't be streaming stuff, and I can guarantee you the times that BSM were there, the crowds didn't change. It was made no difference whatsoever. The only time streaming makes any difference is if it's going to be wet, and then people think about it. I normally
Yeah.
rain their meetings off early because I know the crowd's going to be absolutely terrible and the meeting will be rubbish. Nobody wants to see that. So if we ever run a wet meeting, it's for a reason that's beyond my control.
Yeah, the first thing that you see from people who know know lots of things about Speedway, but don't often turn up. They'll say, "Oh, streaming's ruined it," but actually it hasn't, because firstly, the clubs are making money out of it. Obviously, that's something that people don't take into account. But as BSN, we must have done 4 or 5 meetings over the years where BSN has covered it, and it has been the biggest crowd of the season. And that's been at Ipswich. We've done that at Glasgow, probably Redcar, I think, one time. Workington, I think, would have been one where these meetings have been streamed and the crowds are still there, and that's some of these meetings are not necessarily anything extra special. Yeah, there might be playoffs, but the playoffs always get bigger crowds, but it's not taking away, so if
I
it
can't.
doesn't add up. Doesn't add up.
Obviously, I don't have the figures for BSN stuff, but for the Red Cars own streams for the last few years, we obviously get the postcodes of the people who are watching,
Yeah.
and it's only ever a handful of people that are within 30 miles. It's always the away fans buying it who weren't
Oh yeah.
coming anyway.
And we see that when we're doing BSN, where if you're doing maybe not so much Red Car, because I think the Red Car fans are pretty vocal and involved. But let's say we're doing a meeting between Oxford and Plymouth, for example, and we do the Rider of the Night vote at the end. More often than not, an away rider wins the Rider of the Night, and it's because there's more away fans watching and voting. And I know some clubs have talked about geo-locking it so you can't actually physically access the live stream if you're in a certain area, and I think some have done that, but the reason that most now don't is exactly for what you've said, is that for the most part, really, that the people who are and they're people,
a lot of them,
but the people who
real or they're at work and they're watching it while they shouldn't be or something like that. But
well, this is it. The people who are nearby are people who would not be attending anyway. They're just physically, so you're making a couple of quid off a stream from them, whereas you were making nothing from them before. So, for the most part, there'll be one or two, but majority, that's not the case. Right. I think we'll just wrap things up. Graham Porter, despite the Kevlar situation, says the best chat yet by country mile. Knows his stuff to our Jamie. Doesn't know about tracks in Hartlepool, though. Well, nobody does, because there wasn't one.
Nobody does, Graham, because it's not a track in Hartlepool. You can't put a stock car track in a speedway quiz and expect people to know what it is, because our bike went round there once.
And Jason Edwards rode in Heat 19 of the 2003 Grand Prix in Cardiff.
Definitely did. Yeah. Apparently that doesn't count for Graham, though. Not good enough.
Well, it looked like you're in a Grand Prix to me, but never mind.
By the way, Graham, I know we've given you some stick, but you and Will did a great job. It was a great quiz. Well done. And Will give as much stick back as he got, so well done to Will.
Yeah. No, it was a great night. Well done for putting it together, because it's not easy putting things like that together. So well done for it, and thanks to everybody who turned up as well. And everybody had a really good night there with the Bears supporters group on. That was on Saturday night, but keep your eyes peeled for further events as and when they come up.
I'm guessing Helen must have took Jade's phone off him or something, because I was expecting more abuse than this.
I'm just scrolling down. We haven't had much from Jade at all, really. No, he's been quiet. So Brian Turner said, Brian Turner just said, "Did anyone accept you?" But I'm not sure what that's in relation to.
I think that's Graham with the track in Hartlepool.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, possibly so. Right, well, Jamie, thanks very much for joining us. So a quick recap of things coming up. You've got the press and practice this weekend, and then next Friday it's the Tyne Trophy. Yes, and that's on Friday night. Next Friday, this Saturday, for the press and practice. So all ready to go.
Yeah, we've got a few things Friday night with the lads. Go karting first, and see if I can get round without Jade smashing me off as normal. But, yeah, bit of team building.
Sounds good. Yeah. Well, stay safe. Don't get the injuries in your pre-season action. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. Well, thanks for joining us. I think that's it for our Bears Talk lives for the time being, isn't it? Because season's underway next week.
Yeah, we're into it now. So yeah, that'll be both of us pretty busy till hopefully we're busy till October.
Yeah,
I'm finished in August.
No, you don't want to be doing that. I'm commentating on Nikolai Klint's testimonial on Sunday. Will be my first one. And then after that, we're still waiting for fixtures for BSN. That's been talked about now. So, but hopefully we'll have something before the end of March. Watch this space. And then, then it'll be the BSN series, I guess, the first up, really. That's the main thing, isn't it? In April.
And the title.
And then the title. Yeah. Good stuff. Thanks a lot, Jamie.
Okay.
And thanks to you for joining us as well. And, of course, keep up to date with everything happening at Redcar online on the Redcar Bears website and on the social media pages as well. But here's to a good season. And next, we will see you trackside. Thanks for joining us tonight, and have a good rest of your evening.
Thanks.